Lisa, are you willing to take notes again?
Sure.
You actually did a great job. You were like so not giving yourself enough credit. It was so thorough, like I felt like I was reading the meeting.
Well, it was easy. I had my computer. I don't have my computer this time, but.
No, I don't need one.
You sure?
Here, I'll use mine. Thank you. Yep.
Okay. What do you need? Okay. I have one. Okay, I will call the meeting to order at 6:36. Lisa Gonzalez present.
Kelly Hunt, present. Eileen Tucker, present.
Ryan Schaffelmeyer present.
Tiana Clark present.
Lori Lindsay, present.
And Jessica Lynch is via phone. All right, we'll do our mission and vision. Tiana, what's the read for us?
All right, our vision. Discovery is a school community that nurtures the idea of how to think, not what to think. Our mission, Discovery Charter School will foster in its students the passion and curiosity necessary for lifelong learning. Students will develop the ability to think critically, communicate effectively, and excel academically. Through an integrated place-based curriculum, our students will become stewards of their environment and community.
Financial report.
Okay, hi everyone. We are now a quarter through our latest fiscal year. And as of September 30th, 2022, I call your attention to the balance sheet. And we did burn through $136,000 in cash. That included capital expenditure of $24,350 for the barn renovation. Also included reducing accounts payable by about $61,000. Over to the P&L, for the month of September, we had an outstanding month with a surplus of about $41,000, thanks mostly to PAC contributions. Thank you. And some of which are reflected in the expenses for Chromebooks. And it enabled us to have an excellent month. For the 3 months ended September 30th, we again moved into a surplus position with a 3-month surplus of $36,000 against the budgeted surplus of about $49,000. Again, thanks to PAC contributions, we've exceeded our 3-month budget for revenue. In the expense categories, there's always timing differences in our budget, so a lot of this evens out over the course of the year. In the first 3 months of the year, we buy a lot of textbooks, software, and supplies. In the elementary category, on the year-to-date P&L, you see an over-budget amount of $76,000, which is a lot of the Chromebooks, for instance, that we purchased with the PAC contributions that were not budgeted. So, bottom line is that we end the first quarter in excellent shape. There's a 3-month surplus of $36,682, and we are proceeding on to have the kind of year we had budgeted for, and it looks like it's going well.
I had one question with the
Yes.
food preparation. Did they just not bill us that for September?
Yeah, we're behind a month in the food preparation bill, and usually we accrue that, but there's timing differences from month to month. It's the 12th of the month today, and in the interest of producing statements, we don't do a strict accrual by accruing that at the end of the month. But yes, we have not gotten billed yet for the food preparation for the month of September.
Yeah,
That's gonna happen.
It's always been the following month.
Yeah, so that's gonna happen, thanks. But those timing differences,
But it would be August though, right? Because it says 0.
There should be, yeah, August bills would have been,
well, We probably paid 2 months, I think we did pay 2 months in August.
Just because of timing or what?
Yeah, so that is gonna happen from month to month, but there is usually staggered, sometimes we pay 2 in 1 month. And, so it'll even out, it's a timing difference in the course of the year. Questions on the, oh, I forgot to print the payables, the receivables and the payables and the check register. You print?
Mhm.
Any questions with financials?
There was and we might discuss it later, a ratings direct S&P Global report.
Okay, right. I apologize, I should have circulated that. I don't know that it's been finalized yet.
Yeah, it's in the folder.
It's in the folder?
Yeah, it's in the
It's in the folder.
But we
why I
pay that, what is it, $5,000 every year?
Costs
That
$5,000,
rating.
and that's a requirement for our bond. And this is an interesting report because it's a look from the outside by a financially savvy reader of our financial statements.
Okay.
And it's been pretty consistent. Our rating is abysmally low. It always has been and always will be. It's really immaterial because we don't intend to go into the public finance market again. But yeah, we have this every year. We're forced to undergo this. And it's actually an interesting look from an outside perspective. An outside reader of our financial statements who's savvy knows that we're extremely highly leveraged. You know, we have, for instance, when we went through the bond issue and everything else, we were told by the underwriters that a usual appropriate ratio of charter students to debt is 10,000 to 1. Okay? $10,000 of debt for each student is not unusual in charter school financial world. We're consistently at 12,000 to 13,000 debt per student. We're highly leveraged. And we've managed to not only get by, but actually thrive and prosper with a strangling amount of debt service. And that is going to go up in 3 years when we're required to start paying principal on our bond debt. So this is marked by always comments on our leverage, our NADS is maximum annual debt service, which they use a different number than I do. They use the one that we pay in 2026, and they always comment that we don't make the covenant of the bond. But when I submit the bond covenant requirements every November, I use our debt service that we pay now, and we cover it easily. So there's always that difference, which I chose not to make an issue, and also that they continually mention strong, consistent management, good governance, and a stable environment. And so now we have the advantage of good growth and reaching our capacity. So it's an interesting report. Again, it's from an outside perspective and someone who's going to see an enormous amount of debt and say, wow, they're strangled, but actually, you know, we've done okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for financials? All right, I will move to approve the consent agenda. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, consent agenda is approved. Any public comments? All right, items for discussion. So the working groups I wanted to put on here, just because we've had some movement, and we kind of talked about it a little bit at the board retreat, but just to kind of formalize it. So I know we had mentioned about, we have room for another board member on the development working group. So I know Tiana had expressed interest. Was anybody else interested?
Am I on it now or am I not on it?
You can stay on it because it's up to you. So that's
I'll stay on that one, I think that's good.
Okay, yeah, you can stay on that because it won't affect, because Joe will be on it, so we won't have a PAC board member on it, so that's kind of an extra spot.
This is for development?
Yeah. Tiana, are you still interested in being on that? Okay. So we meet the first Monday of every month around 9 in the morning. Will that be doable?
Do a call in.
Yeah. I call it.
Yeah, Lori called that. That'll work. Okay.
About a couple.
Yeah, and if you can't make it one month, that's really fine. All right, so we have Tiana, Lori. Okay, and then, the finance committee is Suzanne and Julie was on it, right?
No, Marlies.
I'm on it.
Marley.
I think Julie was on it, I think, but.
No, I don't think, Jessica, wasn't it? No?
I thought it was Julie.
No.
Julie did policy.
What's his name?
Oh, Tim.
Tim was. Tim was on it.
So it sounds like you need somebody else on finance.
Yeah.
Does anybody have, when do you guys just meet randomly, right?
As needed.
Okay. Is anybody interested in that?
Is it necessary that we fill all 4 positions?
I don't think it needs to be 4,
No.
but I think it might be good if we have 3 of us on there. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the thing to keep in mind with the working group, and especially with finance, I mean, they're not making any decisions.
let's just bring it back to the board.
It's just when something comes up and needs to be discussed, just thoughtful discussion and then
Brainstorming.
bringing recommendations to the full board.
I think finance is kind of important right now just because we're getting ready to really dive in with the bonds and we have a lot riding on our finances in the next couple of years. So I'll put myself down unless anybody else wants to do it. And then policy
Yeah, I'm on policy.
and Jessica.
And I was on policy
Yep.
too.
Okay. And then that leads us into the diversity, equity, and inclusion working group. So we kind of tabled it last week a little bit to see who wanted to be on it. Lori, you are interested in that, right?
Yes.
And Tiana, you are interested in it. And I know that you guys are both kind of interested in like taking the lead on it, so we could maybe just work together on that, like with you guys. Are you guys okay with that?
Okay, with what?
You and Lori, you guys kind of co-leading that.
Oh.
Anybody else interested in that?
Jessica. Wasn't she?
She was, yes.
Yeah, she's.
Oh,
Oh, did Jessica wanna
Yes.
co-lead that?
no, just be on.
No,
Just
just
be
be
on
on
it.
it.
Be on it.
Yeah.
I'll just be on it. I'm happy to help wherever.
Got it. Okay, and I do want to be on that one.
Are you on policy too, Lisa?
What's that?
Are you on the
Yeah.
policy? Okay. So you're on everything.
Pretty much.
So the new PAC, since Joe.
But I'm happy to not be on finance if someone wants to do that.
Whoever represents PAC on the board, so they're automatically on development, or are they?
No,
need to
so
fit
we're
in
gonna keep
somewhere?
the PAC president as the development. It just makes the most sense to keep.
So
that
he'll
as
just be on the board,
development
just not be a
chair.
board member,
Yeah,
gotcha.
like Jeff Hubble.
So should there be a spot for the PAC, board member? Maybe that would be, maybe diversity, equity, inclusion would be a good one to include them on.
Yeah, and we can talk about that, like, we can always change it as,
I think that'd be good.
Now, Laura, did you wanna lead that DEI group? I don't have to co-lead,
No, I
like I
think,
should just be a member on it.
I think it's 2 heads are better than 1.
Do we have any other co-lead?
but we could talk about it at the meeting, at a meeting. So we could get together, we'll figure out a date. I think it's important for you guys to be involved in that too. we'll set a date and then we could kind of discuss the specifics and go from there. Sound good? Okay, that was pretty easy. One thing that I didn't put on here, but we have to talk about is who wants to be our secretary, because we need one.
I'll be happy to do it if
You will?
you really think those notes were
I
okay.
really think they were great, actually.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mylene.
Thanks, Marlies.
You're a hero.
Well, I don't
find
know
it.
I was very much doing the 12-year-old look in the opposite direction.
Talking about finding different things and, okay.
And it's not, I mean, you guys haven't had a meeting since. a
2 or
long
3
time.
times a year.
Yeah.
so it's a lot.
She's good at it, so, okay.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah, I'll do that.
What were you do?
Lori's gonna do
finance.
finance instead of.
Oh, okay. Instead of you.
Yes.
So it's Suzanne, me, and Lori.
Now Lori's on 3.
Wait a minute.
Because you're on development finance and.
Yes, I'm good with that.
You're the-
Finance really doesn't meet that often and.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think you work so hard, so, yeah, you know.
Alright.
All right.
Okay, most important thing is our teacher winter luncheon. So for those new to the board, we do like a luncheon, we make this room super fancy, we haven't been able to do it. Well, we weren't able to do it last year, we were able to do it in 2020. But, we put like Christmas lights up and, try to do like holiday neutral, but make it festive at the same time. And then we usually order food from somewhere. We've done fish camp in the past, we've done pestos and Velpo. Totally open to suggestions if anybody has any ideas. I think it was around like $75 a person, which that could be give or take considering everything has gone up a little bit. And then whoever could be here, we like to have people here, we use like the good plates and like basically serve them.
Bust up and nice.
Yeah, and then we take the stuff to the cafeteria and wash them and then bring them back. So we're kind of like the servers and just thank them for how awesome they are.
Sure.
And then we will bring like desserts of some kind, so we can kind of coordinate that.
What is that?
We get to decide if
Oh,
you guys have
which
an
side?
idea of when would be good.
So probably that Friday will be too crazy, right?
Yeah, definitely, 'cause
So,
that's parties and stuff.
does it make this, Wednesday of that week?
Wednesday's always good for me.
The 14th, Wednesday the 14th?
Of December we're talking?
Yeah.
Or take off.
December. That's our book discussion day? Oh, because we have a meeting that night? So is that too much in one
I
day?
think so.
So maybe,
Is there a day that would be best for you guys, like with the teacher schedule?
I don't think so, I think any day, Friday would be bad that week,
Yeah.
probably.
Tuesday or Thursday maybe?
Isn't it short?
I don't think Tuesday or
Thursday.
Okay. Let's do Tuesday, just because I feel like.
They'll probably be getting a
we
lot of
do them
treats the closer that they get to, so treat them
Or we can
really.
even do the week before, like the 7th, to try to break it up a little bit, or like the 8th, if we wanted to do that. Because that week is generally pretty crazy.
Wednesday is
I'll be
early.
in
Oh,
that week,
Where will you
sorry.
go ahead, Jessica, what'd you
I'll
say?
be in Texas for work. I'll be out the 5th through the 8th of December, but
Okay.
any other time.
Wednesday, the 7th, I have that as one of those early release days. Is that going to affect the,
No, because it's during their lunch hour, so it doesn't, that doesn't really matter.
okay.
But that's usually when PAC will do a snack day, so.
But it's not here on
the same
7th.
day.
Oh, okay.
But in December, they
They might
typically
not.
don't do it, yeah.
Well, then that might be a good thing. Maybe that would be a good day. They miss out on
We
snack
talked
day.
about, I'm sorry, we talked about Wednesday the 14th also being a dinner for the board. You
That's the
remember?
book study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
That's
do
too
2 dinners?
Double dip.
Well,
No.
Back to back?
Let's not.
well,
Well, yeah, it's dinner.
it's like a luncheon, so it's like during their lunchtime, they come in here and, so it starts at 10:30 in the morning. So that's the problem with a lot of places catering, is they don't open that early. But it starts at 10:30, that's when Kindy comes in, and then it goes till about 1:15.
I can do any day of the week, so.
Are we still talking about the week of the 12th?
I'm happy with
Either
any,
or
either,
the
either
fifth.
week, any day.
I can do the 13th or the 7th, sounds like Jessica's out on the 7th.
I could do the 13th, 7th, or 8th.
I'm gonna try to swing it.
When is your, when do you guys get off the break?
Oh, we don't get out until the 23rd.
Okay, so you guys are, you're not, that's not.
Yeah, well, I have early Wednesdays, but it doesn't matter. It's easier for me to take off on a Wednesday.
Okay, so then let's do the 7th.
Didn't you say Tuesday
I
or
just took
Thursday
off
would
that
be best then?
There was that last week, I think,
Oh, the last week
Okay,
is too
so
much.
Wednesday the 7th.
or the week before, I think it's probably.
Yeah. So you're saying the 14th?
So
No,
PAC
the
should
seventh.
not do a
Oh, the
snack.
7th, the 7th is fine. Okay.
And this
But
is
you're
for
saying-
the teachers only or the
Yeah.
staff?
It's for the whole staff,
Yeah.
so it's about
50,
people.
And 10:30 to 2:30.
Not
Pretty much
about
what we
1:30.
did this summer.
Yeah. What's that?
Pretty much what we did before school started.
Yeah,
But just
But a
try to
little
step it up a
here,
notch.
yeah.
Okay.
And when you say $75 per person, is that, are you budgeting that for the meal or for everything, all the? all
for
the-
everything, except we bring like the dessert separate. So like we'll usually just bake a couple of things and bring that stuff. Does anybody wanna call around to places, or I totally can, if you guys have ideas?
So luncheon,
So again, like the hard part is,
the time frame, because we needed it. at
we'll need to
10.
pick it up by about
By
10.
10?
Yeah.
Scartosi's might be, we do like Italian pasta.
What is that?
Scartosi's,
Where's that?
in Michigan City.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Or
always
El
good for
Cantarito,
transport.
the Mexican. That's kind of early for them, though, but they're really good. too.
I'll check with all of them, then you never know.
Yeah, whatever you think, and then just let us know and we'll
Yes.
figure that out. Okay, awesome. That looks pretty easy too. All right, so the front entryway project.
Yeah, so for the last couple of years, we've kind of informally looked at this idea of adding a second set of entry doors to the main entrance. And then over the past month or so, I started having conversations, and was able to get Trout out. And so the thought is that we would add a second entry double door, glass double doors, in that front entryway, right where the tile meets the carpet. And then there's a window that faces out of Bree's space into the tile space. And so we would convert that into like a pass-through window. And so the front doors would stay the same way they are. As guests arrived, they would hit the buzzer, she would communicate to let them in. They would come to the window, they just need to drop something off, whatever the case may be. And then if they did in fact need to gain access to the building, then she would be able to buzz them through the second set of doors to allow them into the building.
It's kind of where it's separating the office from the students, like the,
No,
I mean, for guests and visitors. When
Yeah,
they come, they're
correct.
separate from
Yeah,
the students.
yeah.
They are in that
Yeah.
administrative area.
Mhm. So it's kind of a three-phase project. So one of the things we have to do is we have to get a header built because that part of the building is exposed ceiling, exposed ductwork and all that. So we would have to get a header built to attach the door to, then the doors themselves, and then Hire, who does all of our alarm monitoring, would take care of the alarm buzzer and all that stuff. So no part of the job, from what I can tell at this point, is above even $10,000. And so I've gotten a couple quotes, I'm waiting on one more. But I would like to proceed with that whenever I get that, because it's gonna take some scheduling and arranging, when I get the rest of these numbers. And so, but all in, I would say it's probably no more than $20,000 between the three pieces of the job. So I'm still waiting for Hire's numbers, and then another number for the header.
And that's a question that always comes up on tours, is about security and like how those kindergarten classrooms are right there at the front of the door, so I think it's so important. And I know the teachers have brought it up quite a few times too.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
When are you looking to, when did you?
Well, so it would depend on who the contractors end up being, and then their schedules. Like I said, the header would have to be built first, and then the doors. They said the doors would be like a one-day job.
Oh, okay.
And then,
Wouldn't be too much.
yeah, and then when it was all ready, then Hire would come through and do the rest.
Okay.
Possibly
to
a room
finish it up.
survey.
Yeah, maybe so.
That's what I was thinking, like how, what interference would have with Okay.
So depending on the contractor, if they were able to work evenings or whatever
Right.
the case may be without it being too expensive, that could speed up the
Okay.
process too. So, and in the board report, there was pictures of the locations too,
Yeah.
if you weren't
Mm-hmm.
able to visualize it already.
Any other questions about it? A motion to approve the front entryway project?
I'll second. I'll let you.
Thank you.
All in
I'll
favor?
second.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, so that is approved. Strategic planning with the National Charter School, but it will be with whatever company we can find that we feel would be a good fit. We met with them last week, and he was very impressed with everything that we have done with our previous strategic plan. And it seemed like he was really excited to work with us and like come out and look at the school, but the pieces just didn't fit, right? That sounds
Yeah, and so while they do a lot, strategic planning isn't necessarily in their wheelhouse, but there's like a group that they work with. And so he was hopeful that he could get one of his people that he typically would work with. But it sounds like it just didn't work out. But he sent us a reference of somebody else who's from Indiana and has done like over 50 school districts in Indiana, worked with them in various capacities with either board retreats or strategic planning. So we reached out to him today, so hopefully we get back soon to get that
These
scheduled.
people were supposed to be here tonight.
Our thought was, our initial hope based on the first conversation was that he would have information for us to share and discuss in executive session to make a decision if we
And
were gonna
who
move
is
forward.
he? Who?
with the National Charter School Institute.
Okay.
What's who we
It
talked to?
was
Keith, I think, right?
Mark Weinberg
Mark.
of National Charter School Institute.
So you just said things were good.
His person was, his team wasn't available. That he would
For what we needed.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you all have a call then with the.
Yeah, and so we would like the board to approve us proceeding with consultant based on our meeting with them and feeling the comfort and the benefit and.
And then hopefully before the November meeting, we could do our executive meeting and kind of discuss it all and lay it all out.
We need a motion to approve working with a new guy.
Well,
Just bringing on a
Probably,
consultant,
yeah.
bringing on a
Yeah.
consultant to lead our strategic
Right,
plan.
right. I'll move to bring on a consultant for strategic planning.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so approved to bring on a consultant for the strategic planning. The retention bonuses.
So the annual retention bonus list was uploaded in the folder, so we distribute that November 15th. As a reminder, as part of our negotiations with Ball State, when we went through our renewal, was that we were gonna use some of those cost savings to give directly back to our certified staff. And so that breakdown is there, based on the number of years of experience here at Discovery. And I think, let me go back, the amount per year equated to
155.
155 a year. So each staff member who's been here at least a year will get that times the number of years that they've been here.
A motion to approve the retention bonuses.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, retention bonuses are passed. So we need to officially motion to start the diversity, equity, and inclusion working group. I don't think we did that last week, right?
We tabled
Oh, we didn't table it?
We approved having the group.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we did that,
We're good.
and we just went. School report.
Enrollment as of last week, 569. Again, our highest number to date. I included information on the building project, the front entrance project there as well. And again, in those pictures, you can see where that tile meets the carpet is where that new set of double doors will go. About a month and a half ago, I met with Lieutenant Dickey from Porter County Police Department, Porter Police Department, not Porter County, I apologize, Porter Police Department. And he's working on some pre-planned response protocols for the Porter Police Department. And he asked if we would be interested in kind of working with him, and I said, of course. And so as part of that process, he thought it'd be beneficial for the police department to have key fobs. That way, in the event they ever need to access the building, So I ordered us some new ones and I provided those based on his list. And then he picked them up this week. He said that it will be very likely like this midnight people who just aren't familiar with the building will be coming through in the evenings and just kind of familiarizing themselves with the building
Like one
interior and exterior. So we'll continue to work with Lieutenant Dickey and the Porter Police Department.
I love that initiative.
The front entry door, as Alan already mentioned, the S&P report, I include the kind of little screenshot there. The 26th and 27th, I attended the school safety conference for Indiana down in Indianapolis. There's a lot of good information kind of supporting things that we're already doing with some of our changes last year. But then also some little tweaks and things that were mentioned that I brought back and shared. And we've kind of already instituted. And then we'll be kind of sharing with staff here later this week as well. So just a couple of those things like the camera system. Previously, our cameras were just like named or labeled by their camera model. And so they talked about how they should really be labeled like location wise.
Yes.
So we went in and changed the names of the cameras so it's easier to tell where they're at in the building, door numbers if they're associated with the door. We have door numbers on the outside of the building, but one of the things that one of the presenters spoke about was having door numbers on the inside also, because again, in the event of a situation, you may not know which door number you're near, so having that on the inside as well. We had already talked about with Mr. Lee about replacing some of the old lights in the parking lot with LED. And so that was brought up again as well, so that's something that we'll continue to explore. They talked about things like line of sight around the building and bushes, which for us, directly by the building and from the office and views, we don't have anything in line sight on the camera or from the window. So that was good. A couple other things they talked about was having the alarm company sticker on every door as just another visual reminder, as well as like a no firearms, no weapons sticker on every door, as again, just further reminders to guests that we do have alarm systems. They can't bring firearms and weapons into the building, things of that nature. And then they talked about some of those classroom devices that we had a few years ago. We were kind of reviewing things, and when things happened and they became very popular. We've already started removing those last year when we made some of the changes. There's a few more of those devices in the building, which we'll be removing here shortly. The thing to keep in mind with those devices, while they feel safe in the moment, they also present a hazard because someone could also lock themselves in the room with those devices. And then
That you install,
yeah,
so they're all being removed.
yeah, the rest of them will be. We removed some of just the door jammer ones already, but there's some that are like built into the door that we'll be removing. But then also from like ADA compliance, it prevents kind of like that one step release of the door. So we'll remove the rest of those. And again, they just emphasize, like we had shared last year, that the safest tool is simply a locked door in an active shooter situation. And then we have access to an app called School Guard. It's essentially a panic button on your phone. It does take 2 steps, so you can't accidentally do it. So what, in the event of like an active shooter situation, anyone with that app on their phone would be able to open it, hit the button, and then slide it a second time, and it would send an alert to all law enforcement who have the companion app for law enforcement, alerting them that there's a situation, and then they would arrive on scene. And so within the app, like our building map is uploaded and things like that. And so us on admin have access to it. We've had access to it. But we're gonna make it available to any staff members who also want it. Of course, not forcing them or telling them they have to have it, but if they're comfortable and want to have it on their phone,
Does the admin get alerted to
we'll
you?
make that. So there is also an admin alert as well. Like if you just needed assistance in the building, it's not like a police situation.
But like if they alert the police, do you get alerted from the app?
I would have to double check. Yeah, I'd have to double check that.
Nice if you did.
Yeah.
Or even the classroom next door to you, I would assume.
Yeah, I would
probably
imagine
everywhere.
everyone in
Yeah.
that who has it would have access, would get the alert. And then within Raptor, which is the background check, the ID card reader we use, they've got some emergency button functionality as well. Emergency button in the sense of within the building, not to 911. And so Jen Little and I have been working on adding some additional kind of notifications to various situations that might occur in the front office. The thought being that with that functionality, the person up front can hit the button to notify request for assistance, as opposed to possibly having to get on the walkie-talkie or the phone in front of a person. And making it kind of known a little bit more so. So those are just some of the things that were shared and I picked up and we kind of brought back and will be continuing to implement here at the school. Back to the board report. And then I included the residency data. In previous years, I think I just included the overall percentage from the counties. But I went ahead and added kind of the breakdown of the school corporations. So you can see the number of students that reside in the various school corporations and then each county as a total. So pretty consistent with previous years, the majority being Porter County, which isn't a surprise. And then LaPorte and Lake County kind of being pretty similar at 17.08 and 17.61% of our population. Had several more of the IASBO meetings this past week. There's a Perk Up Portage with the Portage Chamber tomorrow morning, which I'll be attending before I come into the school. Next week we have Chamber Night. I think everyone responded who could or couldn't. So that's next Thursday. And then I know Lisa is signed up for a couple of Doolin Chamber events. And then we've got the Hatta Girl, Lisa, Deb, and Michelle, the 9th. I think I can still get tickets for Hatta Girl. If anyone else is available and able to attend that, just let me know.
When is it on the night?
I think it's in the morning, like until 10:30 or 11.
Yeah.
It's not an all-day thing. It's like because it's like a
Like a
little
couple
breakfast
hours,
and tea.
right? And that's,
It's at Sand Creek, I believe.
yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Let me do myself a note. And then, of course, the Ball State Summit, the 30th to the 1st, and then so once they send us more information and ask for a list, we'll provide them with that list of everything, or everyone who's attending. Mrs. Laura?
Will they get black rooms for that we
So
are just
my understanding, in previous years, they took care of the reservations and everything. Like, we didn't pay for anything, except for food. But they took care of the rooms. We didn't have to pay for that on our end. So I think that's what Jamie and Keith said when I spoke to them about it.
For professional development, Mr. Underwood just went today actually for an iLearn Math Best Practices 3 through 8. The staff completed their Get More Math Part 1, which is, we're piloting that program, which is a math app that gives students practice on facts and just math skills. It's really equivalent to IXL. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that. We have IXL now. Math Part 2, Get More Math Part 2 is in November on the early release day. I'm working on some PDs for behavior and RTI. Also, a lunch and learn focused on staff mental health. And also for middle school teachers, the LGBTQ through Porter County will put on a presentation just for verbiage and just kind of, inform everybody. So I'm working on that as well. Curriculum, we're narrowing down the math text curriculum for next year that we're going to be adopting. There was nothing for sustainability. Special events, we are bringing the Halloween parade back. Starts at 9 on the 31st. An email will be going out probably next week to the parents about that. Red Ribbon Week, Mrs. Bentley's doing, it's the October 24th to the 28th. I know Lisa and I had talked today about doing like a hallway decoration contest for that week, and a lot of different activities throughout that week in the classrooms and throughout the school.
I used to love that in school. That
Yes.
week.
No learning experiences since the last,
Wait, that's not you, Ted. The learning experiences came to us for kindergarten, right?
They did, yes, they did, I forgot about that.
Got
We had the
the
police here, we had the,
mermaid straw,
we did,
Smokey the Bear.
oh yes, Smokey the Bear. We had quite a few, yes. Social emotional update from Miss Medley. Bully prevention lessons have started this week. She's planning the Red Ribbon Week, of course, the 24th through 28th. Body safety plan for either December or springtime. She's trying to get that scheduled. She's starting small groups for K and 1, which is for like her social emotional groups. How to be a friend, work with them, the skills the students need. Ashley Wishes, her intern, is doing lessons in middle school. And then Ms. Horniak has her report for discipline. For the month of September, there was 17 after-school detentions, 7 in-school suspensions, 21 out-of-school suspensions, and 0 expulsions. So the honeymoon phase is over,
Yeah.
to say the least. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, so you said we have IXL.
Mhm.
How do we use that? Is that used in the classrooms? Is it something they use at home?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. They use it in the classroom. Students, I've checked with the teachers. They've also submitted in their newsletters, and the parents have that information. And it's just something that the students can log in at home and do math practices.
I know fifth grade requires them to do so much every
Some
day.
of them do. Fourth grade, I know, I checked them with fourth grade, when I talked to Mrs. Tuck, she said that they don't require it because some students don't have the devices at home. But it is something that they use every day in the classroom as well. Get More Math is very similar, and I will say the feedback from the teachers and the students so far is they love Get More Math better than IXL. It's just more user friendly.
They're using, they have to do so much of those.
Yes. So,
Is that up to 8th grade? Both of them, IXL and Get More
Yes.
Math?
and then of course, we have the Success Maker, which is intervention math that the middle school uses, and we are starting the math support group next week for grades 3 through 8 on selected students off the iLearn scores. And that starts next week. There's 2 groups meeting on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, and 1 on Wednesday. So we have some teachers that are gonna run that, and then we also have student teachers, and then Mr. Underwood is also going to help out, and Mrs. Roser with the middle school kids, because the middle school iLearn scores, that seems to be the lowest, and that's what we're trying to.
Right, I noticed that last time, so
Yeah.
that's what you're trying to target with the success makers? So it's just
Yes.
identified based on the scores only?
The iLearn scores that are approaching proficiency for
Uh-huh.
kids in the bubble, and then I reached out to the teachers for recommendations too.
But that's an in-school thing, so they'll get pulled from
It's
their
actually
math,
from
or
3 to 3:40.
just after school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, so I kind of wanted it at a window where it wasn't going to be too much of a past the pickup time.
okay.
So that's why we had decided to do that, so it's convenient for the parents as well.
So question, so right now we're gonna focus on math and what are we gonna do about reading?
We have Read Naturally that started this week, which is 2nd through 3rd. And that is teacher dominated, and that's working on comprehension. We also have decided they were having the ability to have 2nd grade do the iLearn, or the iRead 3 this year. So,
But not count.
yes, it does count. So if they pass it, then they don't have to take it in 3rd grade.
Yeah, there's no harm.
It's just a
Right.
pass fail thing?
Like yes, they
And then what it does is then we can see where we need to work, the
Right.
skills that we need to work on, so they are ready in 3rd grade.
That's nice.
So that'll, yeah, it's kind of a no-win situation. I mean, it's just kind of like one of those things, it's a no-brainer. So,
So for middle school, I'm worried about comprehension, I can tell you that.
okay.
So, like, I would like to see something, even if it's some resources out there, because I know it's a little different. A lot of reading programs are for the youngsters,
Mhm.
but when you get into more of the comprehension piece, I guess that's where I'm concerned, because
Okay.
like going to high school, you're gonna be reading more novels and literature and different things like that and being prepped.
And I have touched base with Ms. Allison. We haven't talked too much about it. There are programs out there, but I can follow up with her and kind of see if we can get something going for the middle school as well for reading.
Just to kind of get, even when I think about vocabulary, I know that's not a big thing anymore, but it really is. I'm one of these old school kind of, still some foundational skills, being able to break down the words to understand, even though you can pick up on, other words in the paragraph or whatever. So just working on, what about just working on strategies and more study skills, and is that a possibility?
I'm sure anything's a possibility. I mean, I can check in with the middle school teachers. I know there's a possibility of maybe even doing something during study hall or, but that's something I can look into.
Because even when I think about the low math scores, is it about them just taking the test? Some people have test anxiety or not taking it seriously, especially when everything is on a computer now, right? I think we overemphasize the use of the computer, like, oh, they're used to computers. That's not what I've been seeing. In some literature, it's kind of saying the same thing. So I think when it comes to those middle schoolers, like, do they know how to study? Do they know how to prep for, those particular tasks that they have to tackle? So, and I understand about the different kind of programs that are out there, and that's so hard because there's really nothing out there for that, outside of repetition and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, something I can look into.
Okay, that'd be great.
One more question on that before we move on. Since we're kicking off this diversity, equity, and inclusion groups, I want to touch on this because you mentioned there was an LGBTQ plus type of presentation coming up and learning the terminology and all those things.
Right.
Have we done anything like that in the past as it relates to race?
Gosh, not while I've been here. Mr. Makita. And this was brought to us, and we actually are just in the process of looking into it. I was actually the PD committee actually gave me their kind of thoughts and suggestions, so, but not that I'm aware of, no. This is my second year, so not since I've been here.
Related but not related to back to like the math and reading. I heard like a little bit of talk maybe about bringing the tutoring back after school. Is that still in the spectrum of anything?
It's been talked about. It's finding the people to do it. I know there are some teachers that are interested.
At one time it was, I think, the resource teachers that were doing it, like Tracy, I think.
Okay.
And I think do you remember that? I think it was call-in or online after school. Or
Okay.
maybe it was on Wednesdays, the early dismissal days,
Okay.
but
I will look into that.
what was it?
Absolutely.
It was tutoring. So like after school tutoring, it didn't cost anything, it was just free for them.
Was it?
Yeah,
was
a little
it-
bit. What was before COVID?
Was it was just general tutoring, it wasn't specific?
It was anything they were having trouble
Struggling with,
with.
okay.
Yep. They were able to call and get help.
Yes, I will look into that.
And I honestly don't remember if it was like via computer or they stayed after. I don't remember how it was.
Okay.
Do you remember?
Well,
I know
now
the
that you
RTI
talked about,
has
is that
some
is that essentially like a tutoring? I mean, is that,
It's the Success Maker.
yeah.
It's
that's-
more of it's a program that they take like a assessment and then it's geared towards their skill. So if you have a fifth grader that's working at a third grade level, that's what they're gonna be working on, building their skills
As
to get
opposed to
them
a
to
class, they're not doing that, they're just pushing forward.
Right. There's some differentiation in class, but it's more geared toward that, so you can have 10 students in that room working, and they're all at their own level.
But using the software, not just whatever we're
Right.
gonna have in school. that day.
Absolutely. And then the adults, and there's 2 adults in there, and they're there to walk the
So
student
in the
through
time
and
to
their
kind of
stuff.
catch them up.
Mhm.
The tutoring, I want to say, was from a grant. Is how like it all got initiated.
And I know I used last year, I can't think of her name, and please forgive me. I was taking Dorian out to Valpo Library, and she had all kind of college tutors that worked on any kind of math, as well as English, reading, language arts, and she worked really with disabilities. So I'll send you that information. She deals with, I'm probably saying it wrong, it's the horses.
Equestrian.
Yes, using that to teach how to read and everything like that. I would give you maybe as a possibility, because I saw it in one of our family group, and I reached out to her. So if it's hard trying to find tutors, because I know it is, trying to ask a teacher to stay after school, it's just been a real it's just been a challenge. Maybe that's something that we could tap into. If there's a grant attached to it, I'll see.
Right, send
I
that
don't know, maybe you could do
information.
that, yeah, just to kind of see.
My very last thought about it. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
What about high ability kids, to like peer tutoring?
That's an idea.
For sure with the little.
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah, much younger. I wouldn't say grade
You don't
level.
know.
That could end up
There's
very,
there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
It'd be primary,
Yeah.
for sure. But no, we'll look into
But
that.
take advantage of all of our different grade levels.
Because I know we have to be creative in how we do certain things.
And I also touched base with, we have a few student teachers in the building with their supervisor that's been in, that comes in regularly, to see if there's any PNW students that are interested in that, so I've been in talks with him as well.
And to be honest with you, I don't think parents would mind paying too, like if it was an option, just saying.
I think some teachers do tutor, like for a class, but it's just not.
Not
like
advertised or anything like
Yeah,
that. Okay.
Right.
Just
and not accessible to everybody.
Just concerned, I'm glad that we have some things to start to deal with, some of those numbers, they kind of look,
A little scary.
yes, they did.
Anybody else? Development,
Barn's still moving along, first coat of paint is up. They set the perimeter for the ceiling tile, drop ceiling track today. They're hoping HVAC and electric will be out tomorrow, or by the end of next week, to finish up those pieces. They're gonna start working on cleaning and prepping the floor to get the floor done. And then final coat of paint, and then the rest of the exterior work that needs to be done, so.
We're not putting carpet in there. or nothing.
No, it'll be an
I
epoxy
just wanna
floor.
make sure.
Epoxy
Okay.
floor.
So we'll be next meeting.
No indoor, outdoor.
December meeting?
Well, I mean, I'm still hopeful for November, that's a month, right? I mean, I guess we'll see. But it's moving. Maybe not as fast as we'd like, but it's still good progress. I think that's the big part.
have some more tours, scheduled our fall tours. Have the, chamber night coming up.
How many visits do we get on the tours, about average?
Just depends, like today it was, I'm surprised we had anybody because the weather was so terrible, we had 2. Some days are super busy, it's just depending on the time. We, added an event today, so like we, not for this tour, but for the rest of them for the fall. So if you go to the Facebook page, like the Discovery Facebook page, we added it as an event, so it could be shared that way. And then it will be put in people's, like if you say that you're thinking about going, it'll be added, so then it will remind you the day of. Because I think that a lot of times people will have it in their head and then it comes and goes and they don't remember. So that way they'll get a reminder for it. Yeah. I think we'll start to get busier too as applications could be put in, and that's November 1st for Kidney for next year. And then finance, nothing, policy, nothing, TAC update, do you want to do that?
Sure, I mean, the main news is Fall Fest. We had a really great, beautiful day with tons of volunteers. I think we had over 55 volunteers signed up. Not sure if 55 came, but thank you, Lori. Lori was there with her daughter like the whole time, which was awesome. And you guys came too. It was, a lot of people worked really hard, but it ended up being great. We're a rough estimate of $17,000 profit, which is great. And that we plan to kind of push that all to the barn, so get that finished.
That's the net profit?
Yeah,
Pretty good.
there's still a few ins and outs coming in and out, but I think that's gonna be what it's gonna shake out to.
Really?
Yeah, we had a lot of people walking off the street, like so many. And a lot of people were saying, what is this? And, we were able to tell them and.
The weather was
definitely
gorgeous,
would
it
be
helped so
beneficial.
much.
What's that?
I said the weather was gorgeous, it
Oh,
helped so
that
much.
really
Anyone
helps.
downtown would check it out.
I think it definitely would be beneficial for us to be present as our own booth next year because with the table, it was just impossible to give anybody information and, or like, for people to come up, but there was so many people like buying tickets and that weren't Discovery family.
Tons.
So it'd be good to get our information out there and be able to like have time to talk to people.
When we
Yes,
do
was
that,
really
make it something that would invite people to come to the table not just to learn more about.
Let's have a game.
You know, yeah.
Me and Pamela did it last year next to the Plinko, and it was, we had a lot
That
of
would
people
be
come
good.
up.
Put it next to
Yeah.
the window, definitely.
Wait, what's the Plinko?
Oh.
It's just a game you can
It's a
play.
game, yeah.
Because the line was so long and parents had nothing to do while
Put it
their
next
kids
to
were
headlights
waiting.
where everyone's
Yeah.
waiting.
And probably drop a little.
You drop the thing and it goes down.
And that's how they answered that.
Yeah,
They weren't-
That's over by the
Yeah.
stage. There were like little kiddie games you guys on the
Okay, okay. I might have started just to know.
So that's the main thing, and then you'll be hearing, we're gonna be selling pies, or they're gonna be selling pies, so that will be coming out, that information, and then they'll be holding an election as well. That will be at the next meeting, so we already have received one bio, hopefully there'll be more, and then that will be the election for the vice presidency seat. So all parents, guardians, and staff can vote for that. There'll be 2 opportunities to vote, it'll be in the morning, and then it'll be in the afternoon, at the meeting and stuff.
And there's a bonfire, I put it on the,
Bonfire
upcoming
number
event
2,
that is free, so if you guys are available to come out.
When is that?
November 6th, I think it is.
6,
So 6 to 8,
Sunday night with a hayride.
and that's at Sunset Hill in Belleville.
November 6th.
Or not Sunset Hill,
Rogers
Rogers
Lakewood.
Where is it at?
Rogers Lakewood,
Just down the road.
or Lakewood Rogers, but I'm confused.
Did you say November 1 is our enrollment, is that for kinder only?
They can start putting applications in for kindergarten November 1st for the lotto.
Oh, for, that's for the
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions from that? Recognition? I would like to recognize every brave soul who went in the dunking.
Yes, you guys are amazing. Round of applause.
I seen video. I told my boy,
And they dunked you
I
so
said, oh my
hard.
God, I was like, why are you doing that? She missed, and then she just said, oh, you're such a good sport, I was like.
It was an interest, right? Dropped every time.
You got 2 days for that. You're such a good sport,
Oh,
I
yeah, my
promise you.
nerves.
I didn't get a chance to get over there.
An anxiety attack.
I know.
I had fun.
Good.
It wasn't as cold as I thought it would be, but it's pretty hot.
Well, everybody warmed it up for you with all their.
For the kids to get back and all, so it's not good.
I think that's great.
Deb went around and yelled at all the kids that next Monday.
The very first one I went and found her, and she's like,
It's the opposite of a golden ticket.
And why do I know who that is? Just saying, okay.
It was awesome. Thank you guys for doing that.
And Kelly already touched on it, but thank you to all the volunteers because it can't be possible without each and every single one, so.
I never knew sand art was a big thing.
It's a
But
big
they-
thing, isn't
oh,
it? We-
yeah,
You
they
sold
loved
out of that
it.
sand.
Yeah, we sold out. We were
Mhm.
trying to find everything.
Still picking sand out of the
No, I had a ball. Actually, I forgot the time. That's how much fun I had.
Good, good.
Thank you for letting me do that.
Oh, thank you.
Alright, and then, our November meeting, we will leave, since hopefully we'll be able to do the strategic planning prior, so, is the 16th, would that work out for everybody if we wanted to meet at, let's say, 5:30?
Sure.
And then once we send out the, what's the word I'm looking for? No. What are they gonna fund us? Not contract.
Proposal?
Proposal. We'll send it up to you guys, and then if you guys have questions when you look at it, shoot them to us, and then that'll save a little bit of time when we meet. We can get those answers to you and not go over, so we can start the meeting at 6:30.
And you want that at 5:30?
Yeah.
I didn't have our 16th meeting. I thought maybe we had decided.
We had it
cancel.
tentatively on
Yeah.
there.
I'm not available on the 16th.
Okay.
I'm gonna be able to go.
No worries.
So it could be
I know.
5:30.
I gotta learn the, yeah. I like Hobart. I learned it's Hobart, not Hobart. Someone scolded me pretty quickly about that.
What do you call the island?
Zal.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's what I say too.
What is it?
It's Zayo.
It's up.
I thought it was Zayo. It's
All right,
Okay.
It's 16th at 5:30.
Is it?
It's Wright's Barnyard.
On that note, meeting adjourned at 19.
Well done.
Oh, so meeting adjourned. I'll be able to do it.
You will, for sure,
Yes,
okay.
for sure.
I'll probably be able to call in on the